Hey gorgeous people, today's video is gonna be a little different. I'm gonna do my makeup. It's gonna be a little get ready with me while I talk about my past life. At least one. I might get to multiple depending how long it takes me to do this, but let's get into it. Where do I even start with this? My whole life, I have been absolutely self-assured that I lived before, but because I grew up in America, a lot of people don't like that idea. They don't talk about past lives, and if they do, they keep it hush hush, you know what I mean? So I can't say everything from when I was a child because like obviously I was a little kid, but I always remember being here before, and like some examples of that, and like I'm mentioning this in case maybe this rings some bells for you in your own experience, but like when I read a textbook about American history for the first time in like second grade, at least modern American history, I don't know, I remember reading about the 1960s and like the civil rights movement and having the thought, literally just the thought, no, it wasn't supposed to end like that. Like they fixed it. Why is there still issues? I remember this happening, and it wasn't supposed to end like that. So that was like the first indication that whoever I was not alive past the 1960s, to say the least. Maybe even the 1950s, and you'll see why later. But I also always really loved like Eastern music, like a lot. And like my dad worked for some company in the early 2000s that outsourced a lot of people to India, right? So he would talk a lot of shit about like people from India in the sense of like he was annoyed that they were outsourcing people. But because of that, I would get like a lot of exposure to like the mockery of the culture. And through that, I was like, wait, I kind of fuck with that, like really hard. And then one of my really close friends, her family was from India. And while this is happening in my waking life, in my dream life, I always have, okay, I have a shit ton of dreams. If you watch this channel, you will see that I have a fuck ton of dreams, lots of weird meditations, yada yada. But when I was a kid, I would have, like, weird dreams to me were like really mundane dreams, because like my dreams were always really surrealist and like abstract and strange. So like or like space oriented, so when I would have like dreams about just people on Earth, it always really stood out to me because I was like, what the, like, that's weird. So let me just share some of those dreams that I had as a kid. And the reason I like knew that they were all in the same genre is because there was like this like golden filter over them. Like it was like golden hour, but every single time, almost as if like they were edited that way versus like just naturally looking like that, just like warm and full of love and like extra like, oh, you know, that feeling. So some of the dreams I would have was like I always think of this one where I go and I pick up an orange. Let me set the scene first. It is like a pedestrian street, and like the architecture is really old, but nothing in this, okay, everything is kind of old, but like the people aren't old, the things around aren't that old. It's all like modern for the time that this dream is taking place, where the city is clearly older than the time period that this dream is taking place in, is the best way I can put it. And so there's like a wooden thing, a wooden stand with oranges in it, like bright oranges, and the whole city is like this like tan golden color. Really, like there's a lot of color within the city, like colorful clothing, colorful yada yada, but there's not a lot of colorful buildings. Like all of the buildings are pretty tan or like orange or like gold. And so anyways, I pick up an orange literally like this against this backdrop, right? Like that type of color contrast. I remember looking at it and like literally being like, oh, thank you God, thank you for the oranges, like I'm so happy that they're back, like what a blessing. And I was like that one always stood out to me because I just remember being so grateful that oranges were back. And it was like in the context of like something had happened trade wise importing wise, whatever, that wherever I was could not get oranges. And I love oranges. Like, I always remember that my favorite color was orange from that past life. And then, like, another one, I love this one. So I'm, like, at another pedestrian street, different place, and it's, like, there's, like, canopies covering, like, in between, like, the buildings and stuff. And so there's some old man sitting there with, like, a newspaper. And he has his legs all crossed, and he's, like, reading it, because this is his little stand. And I'm there, like, looking through the things. I'm like, oh, what is this? What is this? But then there's like this really, really pretty girl next to me, right? So the cart is like this. It's like two, it's like an L. It's like two things next to each other. You can't really see that. So I'm like on this inside of the corner. The girl's on this inside. They meet here. And then the guy's sitting behind the thing. I'm like low-key more just standing there to look at the girl. And I'm just like, at her over and over and over again instead of buying anything. And the old man, he like puts down his paper and like looks at me like, boy, you are not pretty enough. Or like, she's too pretty for you. Like, she is, don't even look at her, she's too pretty for you. That's like the look he was giving me. You know, and I was just like, yeah, you're right. And like I put down the thing and just like walk away, but I don't know why, but that's one of my favorite ones. Like that one is so funny to me because the girl was so pretty and I was so nervous. Oh, because disclaimer, I don't know if I said this, I am definitely a dude. I'm a man. Full man. My cat's meowing outside, but oh my gosh. Okay. So another dream, sorry, I had to let my cat in. Another dream that I would have a lot, sorry, I'm petting my cat over behind the corner. Oh, he's coming up. Yay. So another dream I would always have is like, me sitting in this like really tall golden grass field. Hello. And I'm with my sister in this life. Yeah, she's just I think my little sister, maybe older sister, doesn't really matter too much. Actually, no, little sister. Definitely little sister for sure. The dynamic was always older brother, younger sister. I'm sitting in this field with my sister and she's standing beneath this tree and like there's really tall golden grass in the field and I'm like sitting in it and I think I'm like eating an apple or some sort of fruit, some sort of like thing that you can just take a bite of. It doesn't seem like an apple, but that's the only thing that my Western life could really put it like that type of vibe to, because I remember just like chomping it. Oh. And so, yes, I'm sitting there and like my sister is standing beneath this tree and I'm standing or sitting next to her and I'm just like staring up at her like with such awe and wonder. And I remember when I was younger, I would tell people like, this might sound kind of fucked up, but for a while I literally couldn't tell if like she was my sister or like a romantic interest because she was always in the dreams. But like the love I had for her was almost like an envious jealousy type beat, and it took me a long time to realize that I was like envious of like her life as a woman, which is like really random and funny to me almost. But I was like jealous of who she was like for being a girl and being so beautiful, and she was my sister. So that was another dream I would just always think about, like me just sitting on the ground in the grass watching her and like her long gorgeous voluptuous black hair like blowing in the wind, and she's like not facing me, she's like facing away from me and the wind is like blowing her hair at me, and I was just like, wow. Let's see, another dream that I would always have, I didn't think about it too much when I was younger because everyone told me that they were just dreams that didn't mean anything, and I also had such weird dreams that nobody would want to hear about the dreams where I'm just like doing really mundane shit, right? Another dream that I would have a lot, so it would always happen in this one house, and I think this was my house in a past life, and it was kind of like a ranch style house in America, I don't know what else to call it, where it's like long and there's like a long kitchen and then like there's a long hallway. It's just like very long style. He's just like upside down in my lap, y'all. And it was my mom and my sister and my like a whole family thing, but it was mostly of my mom getting ready for an event, like a family party event, and she's setting up the table like full of dishes, full of food, like just full of plates on food. And then something I love about like the mom in this, because she's one of my favorite guys now, which is awesome, and she's so funny, she's like so extravagant, always like dressed extra, like always has the accessories, and she would always wear this like really like I feel like the only way to put it in like Western terms, because I'm so sorry, I don't know much about like Indian style. I'll insert some pictures that I saw that reminded me of it, but if I remember. And it was kind of almost like a princess style skirt where it was just like puffy, you know what I mean, and like long. And she would always wear purple. And she loved having like jingling bracelets and stuff on, but she would always wear like a purple sari, and or at least that's the closest thing I could imagine it being. And I just remember this one dream where she's setting up the table, and she keeps like throwing up her sari because it keeps falling because it's all like extravagant and like way too extra. And like in my head, I'm just like, oh my god, mom, just like literally like just change where it is for one. Like you don't have to have the perfect outfit the whole time. But she's like just like almost getting in the food, like barely missing, and like snatching it, being like, oh, that almost got it. And I was just like, mom. Most of my younger life, I didn't really think too much of these dreams. I didn't tell a lot of people about them because they were boring compared to my other ones, but they meant so much to me. I like just straight up stopped doing my makeup after my cat. Let me start doing that again. No, you can't see him still. I love him so much. Anyway, as I got older, I kept having dreams like this. I kept having more and more. And they were always like either repeats of the same dream, or they were different scenes that were all related, right? So one time when I'm like 17, and keep in mind, I've always been this pale. You saw the pale ass foundation I just put on. Always been this pale. People used to come up to me and hold up pieces of paper and be like, look, it matches. And I used to be like, yeah, like I'm not even offended because you're right. Just context for later. So I have this dream, and it's me sitting in a chair in like this living room. And the living room is like super, super orange, like a dark orange, like almost like these colors mixed together. I love how I'm using this makeup palette to describe. Like really, like just that color palette of room, very orange, very dark. And in the room next to me is my father having a business discussion with another man from the city. And like this man is like, I don't know who he is because I don't really ever see him, but not that that would matter. But I'm sitting there looking down at my legs, and like I have my like head between my hands or like on my face, and I just remember like being so stressed out, and like having basically the vibe of like, if this business deal doesn't work out, like we're fucked, or like something along those lines is the best way I can put it. Is like whatever business deal was happening behind the doors, super important. And like I was sitting close enough that I could hear like more through the walls, but I could not actually make out what they were saying. So that was so stressful. And I remember looking at the clock over and over again, which is an analog clock on the wall. And just keep in mind, I was born in 2000. I don't read analog clocks. I was taught in school, but I don't do that. Not unless absolutely necessary. Like if there's an analog clock, but I know there's a digital clock somewhere else, I will go find my way to that digital clock, right? But in this dream, I'm just looking at this analog clock on the wall over and over again, a big ornate clock too. Kind of like mid-century, but like, I hate, this is because of colonization, but it was giving England, the style of it. I don't know how else to put it. I'm waiting for my dad to come out of this room. And eventually the door opens and him and the other man walk out, and I stand up. But literally in that moment when I stand up to like greet them, because I like jump up, I woke up. I woke up into real life. But do you know what didn't happen when I woke up? Remembering who I am. So I still think I'm this man in this business meeting when I wake up. And I literally am freaking out because go from this super dark orange room to a white room like this. Like all the, hi bud. All of the walls are white. And my first thought is, oh my God, like, dad? Where did my dad go? What happened to this business deal? Like, did I pass out? Like that was my first thought was, oh my God, did I pass out from stress? Like, oh my God, how embarrassing. Oh my God, how embarrassing that I passed out from stress during this business meeting. I just fucked everything up. Right? And then I realized that like, this is when I start to realize that like all the walls are white and stuff, and I'm like, am I in a hospital? Like what is this sterile ass environment that I'm in right now, dude? And I start looking around because I'm like, well, how much time has passed? Like, maybe it's only been a few hours. And there's no analog clock on the wall. And I remember having the thought, what kind of maniac doesn't put a clock in a room? Y'all, there was a digital clock right next to my bed. Like a big one. A big digital clock. And I looked right at it and then looked around the room and said, what kind of maniac doesn't put an analog clock on the wall? So mind you, I woke up sitting up, like jumping up out of bed because I was so jumping up in my dream. So I start like getting really confused, like, okay, I must be in a hospital. I like don't know how much time has passed. I look out the window and like at this point in time, my dad lived in a house that was like kind of in the desert, and outside of my house was like a little goat farm, right? So I look at the goats and I'm like, okay, like that seems kind of fitting, the desert and the goats, like it looks different. I remember seeing like a saguaro cactus and being like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I don't have time to worry about this. So I start like looking around my bedroom that I'd had for years. I start looking around my bedroom for clues, being like, where the fuck am I? And I go to like the door that leads out into the hallway and I'm like, you know what? I actually don't want to know what's behind this door, because if I am in a hospital and they find me wandering around, they're going to be mad that I got out of bed. You know, like they're going to be so mad that they're trying to treat me and I'm just out here wandering around. But then to my other side, 'cause I had a Jack and Jill bathroom with my sister, that door's open and I see the bathroom. And I'm like, oh, there's some sort of bathroom or something. Like, 'cause I see the sinks. And I walk over to the sinks and I'm like, weird, but like, okay. And so as I walk back from the sink, I pass like a full body mirror. I catch a glimpse of how pale I am. And like, I just see my hands, right, in my body. And I literally am looking at myself in the mirror, at myself like, and my thought, remind you, like I said, I've always been this pale. My thought was, how long have I been in here that I've gotten this pale? I must be really sick. And like, I'm thinking that I have like a deadly, some sort of like cancer taking over my body, and that I've been in a coma and I've been dead and haven't seen the sun in years. Like, why am I so pale? And as I'm like looking at my body, I like turned to look at my arm in real life, and I had like blonde hair at the time and it was in a ponytail and it swung around, and that's the motion of it caught my attention. And I looked up at it in the mirror and I grabbed it. And I was like, okay, this confirms that I've been here for fucking ever, because how did my hair get this long and why is it gray? Why is my hair gray? What happened? What happened to me? And I start like freaking out, and then I'm like, I'm holding my hair, and then I look at my face. Brother, I look at my own face in the mirror, this face right here that you're seeing, and I did not recognize it. I was like, what the fuck? But then because of that experience where I'm like looking at myself being like, no, this is the body I'm in. This can't be not real. So something happened, y'all, which I told my therapist about this because I was like, what the fuck? And she agreed. After I told her everything, she's like, y'all, I think you had a past life, like for real. And I was like, no, me too. I told my therapist about this because the face I saw in the mirror is like the version of me that I see in pictures that I don't like, right? Which was trippy because like I've loved psychology. Half my family, like literally everyone on my dad's side has a psychology degree. So like everyone loves psychology. So I've always known that like you literally, your brain changes the way your own face looks to you. Bro, to see, because at that time, right, I didn't recognize myself, but I still have the memory of seeing my face. So like having a memory of my face that looks different than how my face looks when I usually look in the mirror is like the trippiest thing I think anyone could experience. Because what do you mean that I know for a fact how I look outside of myself? Like that shit's crazy. So how do I resolve this after I realize I'm in a whole different body and a different face? I go and I'm like, let me reset. So I go back to the bed I just jumped out of and I sit back down, and when I sit down, my phone slides out from under the pillow up against my like leg, and I pick it up. Y'all, I had no idea what it was. Like so dead ass. It was like I had never seen a phone before or even anything close to it. So I pick it up and it's like this black brick, and I'm looking at it and then it lights up and I'm holding it upside down. This is how much I didn't know what it was, guys. And I'm like, what is this? And then I see the English numbers for the clock, the time at the bottom. I just remember thinking, wait, these are numbers. I recognize them from like something I saw once. Not even like this is the language I speak. So I flipped the phone over, and then just out of muscle memory, like, I just type in the password, or maybe it had like the fingerprint scanner. It was like an iPhone 8, it was back in the day. So I unlocked the phone, and like my real life understanding is coming back to me. Like, obviously I still know how to operate in the world, but I've never seen this phone before. But like the muscle memory is coming back. So like I just instinctively click on like the messaging app, and it's not until I open like my messages and start like reading it and read my name and read the conversations I had the day before that I literally remember who I was, like, in this life, that I'm Olive. And then I'm just sitting there after, because like it was like a split second, everything came back to me. It was like I just switched back to being myself, and I was just like, what the fuck just happened? Like, girl, you have to tell me I'm not insane for this, because that was one of the craziest experiences of my life. What? And then it was like in retrospect of like really analyzing the visual cues from that dream that what's funny is I noticed the dark hair on my hands first, and I was like, oh my god, I was a man in that dream. And that's when in retrospect I like realized that I was a man, and it put a lot of things into context, like the being jealous of the sister, and like looking at the pretty girl and that guy being like, dumbass. It makes sense because I was a man the whole time. And I was like, oh my god. And so like thick dark hair on the back of the hands, and then I was like, holy fuck, I wasn't white. And that's why I was freaking out so much about being so pale, because because I was telling like my therapist, like, it doesn't make sense that I was panicking over being pale, because I've like never not been pale, and it's not something I'm like embarrassed about. I'm just not doing my makeup. Let me keep doing that. There are more memories to come, don't even worry. But yeah, like, it was in all of those contexts that I was like, okay, I need to start like thinking about this more and figuring out what exactly is going on here, because what I'm like, this shit's trippy, right? And so I start really like thinking about it one day. I was thinking about it, and then I stopped thinking about it, kind of just gonna let the thoughts come to me as they do. Because I feel like advice, if you have a question for the universe, the secret is not to ask a million times over and over and over again. It's to ask it a few times, or even just once if you can. And then the answer will naturally find its way to you when the time is right. Because the universe appreciates that you took the initiative to even ask. So I'm literally doing homework because I just graduated college. Shout out me. Anyways, I'm doing homework about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And there was this one image dream that I would always have where I walk down the hallway of that house that I told you about, the long one, and there's like a wash basin at the end of the hallway. Not a sink, like a straight up wash basin. But there's a mirror above the wash basin, right? So I'd always have this one image of splashing my face with water because it's like really hot, or I'm stressed out or something. I don't know. Whoever I was in my past life, I would think I was very stressed all the time, or like anxious, it kind of seems. So I was like anxious, so I start like splashing water on my face, and the dream would always cut off as I looked up into the mirror. So it was like I could see my clothes, but then whenever I would get to my face, I would wake up, or like the memory would just stop if I tried to think about it in real life. And so I'm sitting there doing my homework, and all of a sudden that memory plays, and I see the fucking face. I see the face of the man. And I was like, holy fuck. Like, that's who I was. Like, I just saw his face. And I draw portraits, right? So I was like freaking out, and my only response was to immediately draw this face, at least sketch it, because like that was my face and I've never seen it before. And so I get out my fucking notes app and I start sketching, like, just literally as roughly as possible. And then I hear in my head, like, I did not spend that much time drawing for you to half-ass my face. And I was like, okay. So I like kind of take a step back, because when I was a kid, I used to win a lot of competitions. So I have always drawn portraits since I was a little kid, which is weird, right? Another thing that maybe indicated to me that I was a part of a past life, you know? And so I kind of sit back and like go back into like that state that I would always go into as a kid, where I would tell my parents, I'm like, it's almost like someone else takes over my body and draws for me. Like, I swear it's not me drawing. But I like took a step back, bro. I'll insert the picture for sure. But like I kept the first half and then the second half where I redrew it because they took the same amount of time. I just tuned on that part of my brain because I hadn't drawn in years at that point, and I drew the face and I was like, holy fuck, I know this face. Like, that's me. Like, so that kind of, I literally just stopped doing my homework right there and decided, like, yeah, now is the time that I'm gonna fucking research this, because what? So I start doing, like, research. And like I said, when I was a kid, I used to draw portraits. And one of the ways I would do that is I would look at this, like, website where they would, like, show you all the different, phenotypes of different countries, which was super cool to me. I don't know why, I was just, like, obsessed with it. So I'd always draw different phenotypes of people. And, like, so I got really good at, like, knowing, where people were from, like, beyond just, like, race and nationality, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, bro, your face is from this region, you got ancestors from here. So I was like, oh shit, I know that website. So I pulled it back up and started looking at different phenotypes around India, because I was always convinced that it was India, but I'd always be like, Indian men are the most attractive. Girl, I'm gay. Why was I saying that? It was almost like a joke to me, but like not in a mocking way. Like, I was so dead ass. So I start doing research, and like I see that like around certain areas people really do look like the face, not only my face, but the face of like my mom and my dad in those dreams. I mean, I don't remember his face too well, but like my mom especially, and the sister. And I was like, holy fuck, like this is actually getting kind of accurate and crazy. And so I had like two clues about where this was actually, a few clues about where this was actually happening. I had the tree and the tall grass from my sister, that dream. And like whenever I'd have a dream that like you know, ranch style house, the front door was usually open, I don't know, to let air in or something, and outside the front door was like this path also in that long tall grass, right, like that led out to like a dirt road. And so I had this tall grass, I had that tree, I had the tan city to go off of, right, from like all those dreams of me like buying oranges and shit. And so eventually one day I'm at a used bookstore and I come across this. Girl, let me tell you. So I start going through it. Maybe I can just show you some stuff. So like every picture is like very different, right? And so with pictures like this is what I mean when I was like golden tan, like everything's gold. But as you can see, this book has a variety of pictures, right? So let me find the one that really stood out to me, but I went through each section because they're in sections of like different like architecture, nature, and like, yeah, super cool. But then at the end of each section, they tell you where each picture was taken. Yep, yeah, because I was gonna say that picture I showed you with all the golden, that was the city. So I realized, oh, so these weren't all taken in one city. These are different cities across the entire country, right? So I go through each book and I pick out the pictures that stand out to me within each section, and then at the end I check the section to see like if it was in the same place coincidentally or not. Ooh, here's another one that really stood out to me. Yeah, like that was like this was like the color of the walls inside of that building where, like, in that dream where I woke up and was like, where am I? And girl, would you believe me if I told you that all of them were from the same damn city? And I'm not an expert, but I believe it's called Rajasthan. And before I even started this journey, because I have a bunch of notes written down of things that I remember before I started researching, because I didn't want to like get my perception skewed with things that I was finding post tense, right? So I wrote that one of the things that I remember was a name that was like Rajasthan, and I was like, it was like Rash something on. I just remember the Rash on. And I couldn't remember what that middle syllable was. So that's actually where I started my search, was looking up that word. So I was like, that must have been my name. Because, like, why else would I remember that? But it took me, like, a year until I found that book after researching that night and seeing my own face. So anyways, I'm looking through this book. The Rajasthan city keeps coming up. And so finally, I'm like, okay, I'm going to look up this fucking city. Dude, that city looks so... There are so many things from that city I recognize. And guess what? There's, like, a portion of that city that is, like, ancient, and all of the buildings are gold, and it's called the Golden City. I found it. I found where I was from. I was like, bitch, that was it. That was it. And it was inside of the city of all the other pictures that I was like, I swear to God, I've been there. I swear to God. Another thing that I mentioned earlier, like, is I remember thanking God for the oranges, right? And I also remember thanking God just all the time. Like, I remember being like always very grateful that it was blue skies. Like, I was always very grateful for the blue skies. I really like the blue skies, which is so funny because I really don't like blue skies now. Always being grateful for the blue skies in the desert. Like, I just loved it. But you know what makes sense is that when I was a little kid, I heard in a reincarnation story that, like, everybody picks out where their next life is gonna go. And I was like, so my entire life, I've been really mad that I put myself in the desert, and I've been trying to figure out why I would do that. Because me, Olive, I love green and water. So I'm like, why on earth would my soul put me in a desert? Like, that's just freaking brutal, dude. That's so mean. But at the same time, I knew that I wasn't that mean. And I knew that there was a reason. I was like, I don't hate myself enough. I'm like, there was something about me that loved the desert enough to put myself here, and I gotta figure it out. Did not expect it to be a man in India, I'll tell you what. But yeah, so I found all of that out, and that was pretty shocking, to say the least. Oh, yes, I forgot where I was going. I lost my train of thought for a second. So I would go to markets, I would thank God a lot, and then I realized, like, in retrospect, when I was doing all this research, like, you know, if I was Hindu, I probably wouldn't just be thanking God, right? Because you gotta remember that, like, I don't remember things in words in these dreams. It's only vibes. Because I don't speak whatever language they were speaking. So it's like I literally couldn't remember words if I wanted to. I mean, I could try to, like, say them phonetically, but I do not know what they mean. And so I was like, why am I thinking God and not God's or Lord something, you know? And when doing research about the Golden City, I learned that there's, like, a lot of Muslim people there. And I was like, oh my God, that makes sense. Because one day I sat there and I thought about the dream with the orange, where I'm just like, oh, thank you, God. And I was trying to put in different words to see which one felt right. And the only one that felt right was Allah. And I was like, that doesn't make sense for, like, the middle of India. At least to me, I don't know much about India, right? And I was just like, girl, there's gotta be something else to this. So yeah, so everything I, like, ever thought about in that sense ended up being confirmed externally, which was pretty fucking crazy, dude. And now the mom is my spirit guide, and, like, I never got along with my mom in this life, right? And I would always say I want to go home. And I remember, like, when I was a kid, I swear I asked. I should ask my parents if I did, but I remember asking, like, so where's my actual family? Actually, I do remember asking that. And they were like, girl, we are your actual family. And I was like, no, because I remember my mom. And, like, my mom in this life had an entire thing her whole life where she was, like, really insecure because I would never tell her she was my mom. But she's not. I mean, she is. But, like, I love my mom from that life so much. And she's one of my spirit guides now. But, like, it wasn't until recently and I started meditating a lot that she actually, like, came forward to me, which was a crazy experience. So I was, like, meditating, and she, like, came forward to me and was, like, talking to me. And then it was, like, I, like, split into, like, two people. Like, I stayed me, and then, like, her son, my last life, stepped out of me in his full form, like, totally, fully embodied. I saw the man that I saw in the mirror with an outfit on, and he literally just, like, fell to the ground, like, crying, like, sobbing, like, on his knees, like, holding her, like, by, like, the cloth on her, like, outfit, and just, like, putting his face in him, like, literally crying, like, mom, I missed you. And she was just, like, holding him, and she was like, I missed you too. Because, like, for a long time I wouldn't admit that this was, like, real or anything, you know what I mean? And, like, even the spirit realm, I was very skeptical. And so, like, now that I actually, like, know about it, like, dude, I was literally, like, sobbing in real life after that meditation, and I, like, told my partner, because they were like, what's up? And I was like, it feels like I just saw my mom for the first time in 100 years. Like, I don't actually know how many years it's been, but, like, that's what it felt like, right? And, like, oh my goodness. And she's been with me ever since. Funny, because now sometimes I'll get readings, and they'll be like, it's almost like there's, like, a mother figure or, like, a grandma or whatever, and they're like, and she is wearing purple, and she's like being sassy with you, and I'm like, yep, that sounds like her. I don't know, it's just been really healing to like do meditations and like, because real talk, my last life was supposed to be my last life, and I chose to come back anyways to help people. Because I would also, like I said, like, those dreams were literally so boring compared to like other dreams that I would have, because I would have a lot of space dreams. And one of the reoccurring space dreams I would have is I'm like flying through the universe, and it keeps like, I can't even explain how it looks. I used to have these dreams in like elementary school, middle school. It looks so fucking trippy, like types of geometry you like, unless you're super into the science side of things and you watch like those trippy videos like where they're like, what's non-Euclidean geometry or whatever the word is. That's what it looks like. And so I'm like flying through the universe, and eventually I get taken outside of the universe, and it's this flat wiggling white square, like just straight wiggling. And I like have this realization that if I leave this realm, this isn't the end, and that to leave this realm would to be to enter another type beat. Like it was almost as if like I was being shown that the universe is a perfect echo of itself, like a perfect infinity. And because it was like everything was shown like in cycles and then expanding cycles, and then all of a sudden I was outside the universe, and I started zooming out again, and I was like, holy fuck, it's gonna start all over again. Like, this is gonna be the small part now. And I remember at that moment being like, no, I have to go back and I have to help everybody. I have to show them. I have to help them. I have to show them. I have to show them. And like, when I was younger, that literally made no sense to me, because I was like, show people what, girl? Like, what? A little bit confusing, especially because my parents were like, no, it's just a dream. Don't think too much about it. Not just a dream. And then kind of like with that other where I saw my face at the wash basin, I had this meditation realization type moment not too long ago where it was like I was shown the end of the discussion with myself of being like, no, I have to go back and help everybody. And it was almost like you could be the person you always admired, like the artist, the whatever, like that could be you in this next life if you want to, and you can help people that way. And I was like, shit, that sounds good to me. So I signed myself back up, girl. Craziest decision I maybe ever made, but here we are. But yeah, that was that last life. I guess, how far are we into this? Oh shit, this is getting really long. Maybe I'll just cut it off here and show you my makeup when I'm done. I took off the headband thing and it made it look like I have micro bangs. I don't know how they got all like that, but I'm done. Let me put this. I finished my makeup. Couldn't really find a lip liner that wasn't super dark, so I just went with lip gloss. But thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening to my past lives. I love you. I hope you have a great day. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe. I would love to hear if anybody else remembers past lives, because I don't meet a lot of people, at least in America, who do. But love you all so much. Have a good day.